Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining the session, for sending in your queries, and most welcome here. And I really, really hope that I am, able to answer your queries, and you should be able to, take something out from here from today's session. Right. So I'll first go through the queries that I've already received through email or through LinkedIn, and then I'll open the platform for more live queries. Anjana wanted to know that. What are the particular career opportunities for her in European market, and she's particularly inquiring about German market, and she's specifically asking that would I be able to ESG market there, what courses are required, and she's other than that inquiring specifically about the GHG accounting related courses. Right. So Anjana, what I'll say is that to enter any market in ESG, we all understand that there are some global requirements. So like GRI, TCFD, SASB, these are some global frameworks that are applicable to almost all the countries and all companies. But then there are also country specific or regional requirements. So for example, you must be aware that in India, we have BRSR requirements, or suppose the CSR law that is mandatory or a regulatory requirement only in India and not in other countries. So similarly, if you're targeting one particular country, please try and understand more about their regulatory requirements, because that becomes a key factor for you to be able to enter that market. So until you don't understand the mandatory regulatory requirements for that particular country, or in example of Germany, there are also country specific as well as region specific requirements, because they also follow the EU policies and regulations, right? So if you don't understand that, that will kind of become a barrier. So what I'll suggest is that you can go through a document called NFRD, which is non-financial reporting directives put forward by EU for all European Union companies. Like there are some laws that, so for example, if you have more than 250 employees, or if you are say generating a revenue of 250 million euros, so those kind of requirements are put there. So if there's a corporate company which is fitting into those requirements, they are mandated by the law of European Union to disclose their sustainability progress through NFRD. And then very recently, they have also revised the NFRD requirements to CSRD, which is Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. So I suggest that you can go through these standards and framework in addition to the voluntary frameworks, that is GRI, SASB, TCFD, CDP, integrated reporting, etc. So that is one primary suggestion from my side. Secondly, you also inquired about GHG accounting related courses, and you have also said that you have already completed the one by World Bank. So I think, yeah, that's really a good step, and that's like the first step for getting to know GHG accounting. So that is good, like well done on that. If you want to continue learning more about GHG accounting, I would suggest go through GHG Protocol itself. Like GHG Protocol also have few trainings and kind of tutorials in place, but be mindful that they are not very cheap. So if you are really that committed to obtain a certification, go through those trainings. Otherwise, by just going through the GHG Protocol document, I'm sure that you will be able to understand the processes of conducting a GHG accounting. And so if you're only into this for learning and developing that skill, just going through the documents should be enough. But if you still want to obtain a certificate to be able to put in your CVs or LinkedIn, then you can go through the trainings as well that are there on GHG Protocol. So I think I have answered your queries. If there's anything else, you can let me know.
There was one more question that I had asked regarding like how far can I work in the domain of climate change and carbon markets within the environmental aspect that ESG is dealing with, like some insight into that as well. That was the third question I had written to you in me.
Sorry, Anjana, I could not really understand. What do you mean by like what extent can we work into the field?
And I mean, are these aspects that are addressed when ESG, is done for a company? Are these
Mm-hmm.
kind of aspects are looked into? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not aware of it because, as such, my experience is in the domain of climate change alone. I think you've gone through my CV, right? So my experience of working in the corporate sector is right now zero. I just have 1 year of experience.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to know, like, but I do want to explore more in that field. So that's why I was asking.
Right. So I don't really believe that there should be any barriers if you want to move from climate change kind of background to ESG background. To be honest, they are pretty much the same. If you specifically want to work in ESG and corporate sustainability, I'll again recommend to get your hands on the different frameworks and standards. Then it's specifically for corporate sustainability, there are also related multiple ESG related risk and indices like market indices, risk ratings. So that is another area that you might want to get your insights on. Like no need to worry about certifications and all. Just keep reading.
Mhm.
Keep building your knowledge onto that, and once you feel really comfortable with the market practice and with all the requirements and regulations that are out there, you can easily make a move to corporate side. And when I say corporate sustainability, then there are also two parts to it. So one is definitely consulting organizations, wherein you will act as a consultant to multiple companies. So you will get to work with different industries ranging from say manufacturing to e-commerce to digital companies, IT companies. But therein you majorly work in the capacity of a consultant and you are not really responsible for implementation in most cases. The other part is picking up an industry, picking up a particular corporate company and working within the ESG team, in house for that company. So that gives you a more in-depth experience within one particular industry and within one company. And you can weigh in your options, your preferences, that would you like to work as a consultant or within like an in-house expert for a particular company, and whatever interests you more, you can explore your opportunities there.
Okay, thank you so much, Bachi. That is really, really insightful, and thank you so much for taking your time. I think you
All
can
right,
take
thank
off
you so
here.
much, Anjana. No problem. Right, so I think based on the people who are currently on the call, there is Somnath, and I have questions put in by Somnath as well on my email earlier. So I'll respond to those questions first, and then we'll open for live questions. Is that okay, Somnath?
Yes, absolutely okay. Please go on.
All right, great, thanks. Right, so Somnath's first question is, what is the eligibility criteria to start working in ESG? Uh, See, that there's not really an eligibility criteria, right? So if you want to work in a particular sector, you just need to have the basic working knowledge of that sector, and that's all. It's not necessarily that you need to have certifications, or you need to have maybe like a postgraduate degree in the field. Of course, those will really help in building your credential. But if you're someone who's coming from a different industry and who do not have a educational background in ESG, but you are really passionate to enter into the sector, what I'll suggest is that you do some basic certifications, which are not very expensive on your pocket, but also gives you credibility. And then start with kind of smaller companies, because it's easier to get into smaller companies as a fresher as compared to the big brands. And so once you have started building your experience, you get on some hands-on experience and learning with smaller companies. And then probably in a passage of 2 to 3 years time, you can then keep moving on your career, move to bigger companies, bigger brands, or whatever career trajectory you see for yourself. So Yeah, that's there. I hope it was, it answers your question in terms of eligibility criteria. Secondly, you are asking what are the macro sectors of ESG, like finance risk, social risk, and what skills one should have to work in each of these sub areas. Right. So, Somnath, what I'll suggest is that I have done a previous video on this topic called Career Options in ESG. That is available on YouTube, and it is also linked. Like the link of the YouTube video is also on my LinkedIn account. And in that video, I have in detail, explained what are the different subsectors as you are talking about, like financial risk, social risk, etc. And then also what are the skills that are required for each of those sectors. So skills in terms of soft skills as well as the technical skills in each of those subsectors. So all of that is available on YouTube. I will request you to go through that video once, and it should be able to answer this one. In addition, I'll also like to add that a lot of us understand or believe that ESG is only about corporate sustainability. Though majorly, yes, it is. Like in terms of the market understanding, ESG is about how a corporate is integrating sustainability into their businesses, right? But then the implementation of that, the true integration of ESG goes far beyond what a corporate is doing in terms of reporting. So for example, what a farmer is putting into his field is part, it then becomes the part of the supply chain for a particular company, right? So it's not just that ESG is restricted to the corporate offices or to the headquarters. It goes beyond that. And even if you get a chance to work with an NGO who's working directly with people, who is probably working with farmers, working with local artisans, working on healthcare, working on education, all of that is part of the larger sustainability agenda. So those are also, just wanted to highlight that those are also the subsectors of ESG as well. So yeah. Next question is, how can a professional with 10 plus years of experience in energy management sector can diversify his her career in ESG? Right. So what I'll suggest is that if you already have 10 plus years of experience in energy management, I would suggest to keep that focus and target alive, and not to diversify, but to kind of create a in-depth career and more technical career within the energy management itself. Because as I was saying that all the allied sectors are also part of ESG only. So of course, energy efficiency, renewable energy, all of those are integral to sustainability and ESG. And so if you're coming with 10 years of experience within energy, it would be much more useful if you work with a company who are into either renewable energy management, production, or into innovation of different kind of alternate renewable energy. So in my opinion, that would be like a better way to put your experience into use within ESG sector. uh, Again, you can work with particular utility companies, energy companies, and be their sustainability ESG expert. But if you still want to diversify, the best way to do that is to start working with a consulting organization, because that's the major advantage of working with consulting, that you get to work with different industries and different kind of projects all at once. So that really gives you an opportunity to get hands-on experience on reporting, strategy, GHG accounting, supply chain, sustainability, say carbon neutrality. All of those you'll get to experience while working as a consultant. So then that should give you an idea that which specific path or like a subsector you are more inclined towards, and then you can take up that. Also asking what are the international certificates to be successful in the ESG domain. And the next question is which country is best suited to work in the ESG sector. Right. So in terms of certification, again, if you're someone who is very much interested in getting a certification to be able to put a credential on your CVs, I'll suggest is you can do the FSA certification from CESB, that is Fundamentals of Sustainability Accounting. It is an exam-based certification, so you'll have to appear for 2 different levels of examination. And once you have cleared both those exams, it will give you an certificate of FSA credential holder, and that's one of the I would suggest like one of the most sought after certification within ESG. There are similar certification provided by GAR, which is Global Association of Risk Practitioners. Then there's another certification on by CFA, which is an ESG specialization. So those are like really sought after certificates. I would say definitely prestigious, but then again they cost a lot. So if you are already working, and if you are working already in the sustainability and ESG area, you can probably speak with your employers to sponsor you for those certifications. And if that is possible, that would be the best way to achieve those certifications, like to be at least able to apply for those certifications. If you want to do it yourself, I would recommend do the cost benefit analysis for yourself. And if you want to do these certifications just for the sake of knowledge, then I'll suggest go through the courses which are on Coursera, on Udemy. There's also an organization called Earth Academy, which provides certification on specific frameworks. Like there are different certifications for GRI, TCFD, CDP, etc. So you can go through those as well. And again, I have given a extensive list of certifications in my previous video, so you can check that video for further details. And the next question, which was about which is the best suited country to work in ESG sector, there's no answer to this question, because all countries are good suitably suited. You just have to identify the local requirements, the national requirements that are applicable in that particular country. And there's definitely a difference in maturity level of the market. So for example, European countries, or say North America, or probably some of the Asian countries like Japan and South Korea are much more advanced in terms of their sustainability understanding as compared to the developing country, because of the obvious reasons. But having said that, the market in developing country is growing at a faster pace as compared to the developed countries. So you might want to just kind of compare the market and check your odds that where will be where you will be more comfortable and more suited to work in. So yeah, I think Somnath, this answers all of your questions. If you have any follow-up questions, you can ask. Otherwise, the floor is open. Anyone else can ask questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding this session. I just have like one query regarding my work experience and how I want to switch into ESG. I have like a fair idea, but I want like a specific direction here. So my question is that my work experience is like 3 years I worked in KPMG in consulting, in M&A business, due diligence and everything. And 1 year I worked in eValue, so same profile. So now I have 4 years of experience into M&A consulting, but when I want to switch into ESG, I do not want to continue in the consulting side. I want to switch to the industry side. So what would you recommend? How should I upskill myself? What courses should I take to, look for a job into the industry side?
Okay, all right. So Richa, the courses majorly remains the same, right? Because the courses are there to equip you with the specific technical knowledge and the evolving landscape in the market. So there are not different courses for consulting or for industry. So all the courses that I have mentioned right now on this call, or I've also covered few of these courses in my previous videos, that is the FSA course, CFA course, CFI course, Earth Academy. All of these courses will be relevant equally for consulting as well as for industries. For getting into industry, I'll suggest pick up an industry or a company where you are comfortable with, right? So for example, if there's someone who is coming from an mechanical engineering background, I'll suggest them to go into probably like an automotive industry or manufacturing industry, because that's where you can relate and like, you are able to sell yourself better. So if you already have that kind of an background, then I'll suggest you to go through those industries first. But to be honest, my frank suggestion here would be that since you are coming from a consulting background in the M&E and you want to move to ESG within industry, what I'll suggest is that you do probably another year of work within consulting, but in ESG, right? So then within consulting, it's easier for you to move from M&E to ESG. You can, exploit your networks within the company. And then once you have had some experience of working within ESG, that will give you a better bridge to then move from consulting to industry, right? So within consulting, you will in fact be working with clients from different industries. So that will give you also a taste of which industry you are more inclined towards. And then if you are able to build good rapport with the clients that you are working with during that period, it will be very easy for you to to get absorbed in that client's role itself, right? So for example, if you're working with a cement manufacturing company as a consultant, you can very easily pitch in or sell yourself to that company that I would like to work permanently as an in-house ESG consultant instead of a external consultant. So that, in my opinion, that will be an easier path, but that will make you work in the consulting sector for like another 1.5 years. The other option could be that you directly start applying for industries, but just gain some more knowledge about the different standards and frameworks.
Thank you so much. That's a great advice. And I was thinking the same, that maybe I should continue in ESG consulting for a year and then switch.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So what I suggest is that because you already have experience working in KPMG, try and get into the ESG or climate change consulting team of KPMG, and that will be easier. And then after 1.5 to 2 years, you can make the switch.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Right. So someone has asked me, can someone grow in the ESG field only when they have an MBA? So definitely no. You can come from pure technical background and can still be very useful within the ESG field, because as I was saying earlier, ESG is not just about reporting requirements and disclosures. It is also about innovation in each particular technical spaces. So for example, within renewable energy, within products, so all kind of innovation is needed everywhere. So if you're coming from a technical background, that's even much better. Then I have a question: how to approach big companies as a fresher? We have discussed about it. As a fresher, try not to approach big companies. If you already are coming with a very solid background in educational terms, like if you already have an MBA, like a 2-year or a 1-year MBA in sustainability management, then you can definitely approach a big company as a fresher. And then, my advice would be to go through networking. But if you are someone who is interested in the field and do not have an educational backing, then it's not a good idea to directly approach big companies as a fresher. Right. So then most of these questions are repeated about GHG accounting and courses. We have covered this, that what are the courses one can do to learn more about GHG accounting. Someone is asking, before applying to Big Four companies, what skills should I acquire? So again, you can go through my previous video where I have specifically covered soft skills as well as technical skills required for different subsectors. Consulting was one of them. So go through that video for details. But yeah, in short, what I'll say is that consulting organizations are always looking for good soft skills, above the subject matter expertise, right? So you really need to be good with communication, good with presentations, good report writing skills, good networking skills. So those are key soft skills to get into consulting and Big Four as well. So for carbon finance, any specific courses that we can involve GHG accounting and investing. So if you're specifically interested in carbon finance and carbon markets and you want to like study them properly, there are full-term MBA courses in carbon finance by Oxford, by Edinburgh University. Even Oxford and Cambridge are also providing short-term certification courses in carbon finance, so you can look at them. But again, I would not recommend to do those courses out of your own pocket. If you have a employer who can sponsor those certifications, well and good. Otherwise, stick with the courses that are provided by, say, GHG Protocol, World Bank, and then there are also multiple other courses on Coursera and Udemy. In India, I know that CII ITC also provides courses on carbon accounting. They have their own calendar, so you can visit their website. He has asked, how can I further develop my profile and expand my knowledge to work in ESG? So Vrinda, what I'll suggest is that read as much as possible. As I was talking, that there are new, regulations, new directives, guidelines that keeps coming up. So as much as you are aware about those new developments, and like not just aware that that this new, say, directive has come, try and understand the significance, their applicability, and like in-depth knowledge about these different frameworks and standards, the more it will help you. Just is that whenever you hear a news that there's this new development in the ESG field, really give it a good read. Try and formulate your thoughts around it. If you have time, if it's something that you can do, is that you can even write, say, blogs or articles about it, that there's this new framework, and this is what it means, this is what it signifies, like kind of decoding the frameworks. So so that is one key thing, is to deepen your knowledge as much as possible, because that is the only thing that will give you the confidence that you are ready for the ESG market. So be it in interviews, or even before interviews, when you are approaching potential employers, once you have the confidence of and backing that I know this sector in and out, or even if I don't have the educational background, I have the right information, because I have like self-educated myself, that would like really help you to reach out to employers as well. And that also sorry Brinda, you'll have to repeat the next question as well. For some reason I
So
have
actually, I
misplaced.
had a follow-up question to
Yeah, sure.
what you answered before. Um, you said like it's not actually necessary to have a master's or any educational background for this. You can
Right.
start with a small firm, small company, and then work your way up.
Yes.
So can you give some examples of places where you can start, or where like you can hit the ground running and still be groomed to um, like gain the knowledge?
Right, sure. So for example, if I talk about consulting sector in India, right? So we know about, like, the big fours are working in ESG consulting, right? But there are also other smaller boutique companies. So for example, there's a company called Satwa Consulting. There is another company called Sutra Consulting. There's another company called Think Through Consulting, where even I have worked earlier. So these are like few examples of boutique consulting firms, which are doing almost similar work, but just probably working with smaller sized client companies. So that is something that is somewhere you can start with, right? Similarly, because now carbon neutrality certifications are are gaining popularity, there are many small companies which are working in carbon trading or GHG accounting field. So one company that I know in India is Climb Track. It's a small company. Then there's another company called Nking International, which also works in carbon trading. So these are few smaller companies that I know about. There's another consulting called Gist Advisory in Mumbai. There are multiple, right? So once you get into the ecosystem of of sustainability, you'll start identifying those companies yourself. Or what you can also do is, like, I used to use this method, that once I identify a company, that this is the company, or this is the kind of company that I would want to work with, I Google search the peer companies of that particular company, right? So then that gives me a list of other companies that I didn't know about that are working in the same space. So you can use tricks like that. There's another company called C Kinetics in Delhi, which also works in sustainability consulting. So yeah, I think I would suggest to reach out to those companies. I hope
Okay, thank you.
it was useful.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think your other question was, so how important is to get a master's degree? This we have covered. Then is how different it will be. Hi. Yeah. How
Can
different?
I ask maybe,
Yeah. Sorry. Someone
Pratiksha,
saying
this,
something. Yeah. Hi, Pratiksha.
yeah,
You have a question?
yeah, right. So right now I work with a Deloitte and KD Practice Consultancy as a ESG analyst, and right now I'm doing a freelancing. So I just wanted to know what is the difference between ESG analyst who works in rating company and the ESG analyst who works in consulting company. So I worked with a consulting company before, so I just wanted to know the difference between two, or if you can say ESG consultant who work in rating and the another consultancy. So can you just give us some idea?
Sure, sure. So Pratiksha, there are two more questions from Brinda that are left. I'll just quickly cover those, and then I'll move to your question. Is that
Oh,
okay?
okay.
Right.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. Right. So Vrinda's third question was, how different will it be between studying sustainability in India versus studying abroad? And last question is, how good is the scope of this field in India considering impactful projects and good pay scale? So I think both of these questions are relevant. So studying in India versus studying in abroad, I'll recommend, if you have, the pockets, if you have good financial backing, go for abroad degrees, because that will give you a better exposure of the abroad market. And that also depends on what are your future aspirations. If you are looking to enter into the job market in a particular Western country, so like for example in UK or in USA, then getting a degree in that country would be much more preferable, because it will help you develop the networks into the client market. In terms of education, there's not that much of difference. I have studied from Indian Institute of Forest Management in India, and their course on environment management and sustainability management is one of the top notch in the world. Like, in terms of technical knowledge, what Imperial Institute is providing, or say what uh, you know any other universities in USA's are providing, it's not really different, right? The only difference would be in terms of exposure that you are getting, and the opportunities to network. And then again, having said that, if your aspiration is to continue working in India, or to work in India in the long run, that it would be better to do your master's degree from India itself. And your last question was, how good is the scope of this field in India considering the impactful projects and good pay scale? So as I've mentioned earlier as well, that all developing countries, the scope of ESG is growing very fast. because of course, as the market is growing, so are the companies that are falling under the regulatory requirements of ESG. And even the companies which do not fall under the regulatory requirement are now in the race to, to be tagged as a green brand, or, to be able to manage their customer perception and their stakeholder requirements as well. So the ESG market in India is also growing very, very fast. So I would definitely say that, it's good and it's highly recommended, even in terms of like pay scales and everything. You need not to worry that, like there were days when, we used to say that, India is not that a mature market for anyone working in environment space or for anyone working in social space, because those things are like secondary, or like, not a priority list in Indian market. And so, there's nobody is going to pay for those things. But the scenario has changed completely, right? So all the companies that are working in India, if they have investors sitting in Europe or USA, they have the pressure, to be more sustainable and to disclose their sustainability performance as well. So, all of these factors working together, India is a great market currently for ESG and corporate sustainability. So yeah, I hope that answers all your questions, Vrinda.
Right. Yes. Thanks a lot, Prachi.
Okay, great. Moving to the question by Pratiksha, you wanted to know what's the difference between ESG analyst in rating companies and consultants in rating companies versus in consulting. So, working in a consulting industry is very straightforward. That you do what the client wants to be done, right? So that's the job description if you're a consultant, or if you're working in a consulting industry, right? So it can range from research to data analysis to actual implementation to just writing reports and presentation, because it all depends on what are the requirements are for that particular projects. And the projects keeps changing, the clients keep changing very frequently. So that's why I always say that if you want to really understand or want to experience the breadth of the ESG sector, you need to work as a consultant, because there you get to work with different industries and different projects at the same time. So that really gives you like a broad view of the things. And so hence, while working as a consultant, the role keeps varying. It might include data analysis at some point of time on some projects, and in some other projects there might be, the situation would be that there's no data analysis at all, right? So that's what a role of a consultant is, versus the analysts who are working in ratings and ranking agencies. You need to understand that is very heavily quantitative data oriented, right? So being able to ascertain ratings and rankings, there's a lot of analysis that goes into it. So their role is primarily picking up qualitative as well as quantitative information from the disclosures of the corporate companies. So it can be from their website, from their sustainability report, from other stakeholder filings that the company has made public. So all of those data that the company has provided, the analyst really cull through the data and pick up the relevant information. In many agencies, they also send out a supplement questionnaire to the corporate agency who wants to participate in the ratings, right? So then they respond to those questionnaires as well. So all of that data goes through lots of levels of, many levels of filtering and different analysis, different
Yeah.
compilation, and then is what, like a ratings or rankings or whatever indices are then processed. So that is the job role of an analyst, which is very different from what a consultant do.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. I think there are a few more questions in chat. Right, so Siddharth is asking that he's currently working in an ESG rating company. So from there, can we switch to an investment banking company or a consulting company? Yes, very much. So but to move to an investment banking company, you need to have like a financial understanding. Definitely, you can definitely take your ESG experience from the ratings company to investment banks, and all investment banks, even asset management companies and institutional investors, they are all looking for ESG experts, like in-house ESG experts, because they all have the, like, not really mandate, but they all have the pressure to, to manage their portfolio from an ESG perspective. So they always have the requirement, but you obviously need to position yourself better with financial understanding, definitely for investment banking. For consulting company, yes, that is very much possible, even if you don't have like any specific educational background. You can move from ratings to consulting. You just need to brush up on few key consulting skills, as we call it, that is majorly um, communication and presentation, as I've said earlier, because these skills are not that much good to use in rating companies. But consultings are very more dynamic and more client facing, if I can say, right? So in rating companies, you don't really get to interact with clients a lot, but in consulting, you do that on a day-to-day basis. So the key consulting skills come to play there. So just brush up on your consulting skills, and then you're good to go. Jay is asking, any particular companies, if you or any other person have, okay, if any other person have in mind, where we can apply for UK based climate change and sustainability companies, or any vacancies available, particular for Warwick, Convertry, or likewise. So, Jay, I'm not aware of any specific vacancies as of now. What I'll suggest is use LinkedIn as much as you can. LinkedIn jobs, like the jobs section on LinkedIn, is far more better than any other job boards, or that you can explore. So that is what I always use, and I recommend everyone to use, because that also gives you an opportunity to network with people, to ask for references within LinkedIn. So you can do that. You can put up an alert search for particular location or for particular kind of companies, and you will get notified when there are vacancies in those companies. So yeah, I think those were all the questions, and we are also approaching the end of the hour. So if there are any one last question, I'll take. Otherwise, I think we are good to close the session.
Can I ask something again?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
So right now there are a lot of companies which are coming and telling us that we want to do it, but the few of them are the startups, and they want to do it voluntarily. And for the startup, it's very like the data is very minimal, and what to start, what to not. So, what would be your advice for them?
So, like, for startups or for the consultants who are dealing with the startups?
No. The startups who want, so supposedly take a coffee shop startup or coffee who is making a coffee product. They
Right.
wanted to do a ESG reporting, or they just wanted to do voluntarily, because when they reach to the MSME
Right.
or the larger
Right.
company, they will have all sort of things ready. So what would be your
Right.
advice? What will be the first thing they can do to implement
Uh,
ESG?
Right. So, okay. So I think that is very interesting that the startups are, that much inclined towards sustainability and ESG. And I really believe that they're doing that with a better intention in mind, to become sustainable, rather than, just to please the clients. But so what I'll suggest for them is to put the right data management practices at place, because that's of the key importance, and it will be really useful if they can put those good practices at place at the start of the company, like because that's like one of the major problem with large companies, is that they don't have, like, they might have the data somewhere in some registers, some notebooks, but they don't really have the data management. Thing is that for large companies, it becomes quite difficult, to change their data management practices when they are already 5 years, 10 years, down in their businesses. So if they have good data management, that will really help them develop their sustainability reportings and disclosures, from the first year onwards, right? So once they have completed their one financial year, they can start doing their reporting. Okay, I hope this helps. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you all have a good weekend. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy. Bye.